Hello, friends! Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I just want to welcome you and whoever you're with back to Get Your Play Online and back to our bedtime story segment. So, today we're going to continue reading Junie B. Jones and Her Big Fat Mouth. If you've been following along, we have been reading this every week on Mondays at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. So, let's go over what we learned last week. I think we left off on chapter 4 when Junie B. Jones was getting a little bit fed up with her brother Ollie because he was getting all the attention from her mom and her dad. How must that feel? That must feel sad a little bit because she just wants to tell her dad and her mom all about her day. But we're going to see what happens next. So today we're going to read chapters 5 and chapter 6. And we are going to see what is going to be continued in the life of Junie B. Jones. And I will be showing you all of the pictures. And just so you have a refresher, this is Junie B. Jones. And look at her bow. And today I also found, let me see if I can scroll down, a little picture of all her room 9 kindergarten friends. So if you have the book with you, you can turn to page, I think it's page 2. It's page 2 on my iPad, and see all of her kindergarten friends. And that way, when we read along, we can see everybody she's talking about. Alright, so let's go all the way down to chapter 4. To chapter 5. Chapter 5 is called Shining. And if you have this book at home, feel free to read along. So, number 5, Shining. When I went back inside, Ollie was still very screaming. You know what, guys? Let's actually read back a paragraph in the last paragraph in chapter 4, just so we refresh ourselves and refresh our minds of what Morgan read last week and what we read last week. So I'm going to read this last little bit of chapter 4. You're just going to have to wait until I get the baby settled again. And here, Mom, Junie B. Jones is just trying to tell Mom how her day was. Yeah, only I can't wait 'cause Mother butted in. Now, not now, Junie B. I'll be out to talk to you as soon as I can. Now please go. Then she pointed at the door. Pointing means O-U-T. Out. Darn it, I said. Darn it, darn it, darn it. 'Cause that dumb old baby takes up all of Mother's time. And he's not even interesting. He doesn't know how to roll over, or sit up, or play Chinese checkers. He is a dud, I think. I would like to take him back to the hospital, but Mother said no. After I left the nursery, I went outside in my front yard. Then I sat in the grass all by myself, and I played with a stick and another ant. Only this dumb ant bited me, and so I had to drop a rock on his head. Is that very nice? No, that's not nice. Finally, my daddy's car came into the driveway, and my heart got very happy. Who else's heart gets very happy when your parents come home? I know my heart gets very happy when I see my mom or my dad. Does your heart get happy? Yeah. Daddy's home, Daddy's home. Hooray, hooray, I yelled. Then I ran to him, and he picked me up, and I gave him my most biggest hug. Let's give ourselves the most biggest hug. Hug. I'm very glad to see you, I said, 'cause on Monday I have to dress up like what job I want to be. Except for I accidentally said that I'm going to paint and save people and carry lots of keys. Only what kind of dumb bunny job is that? My daddy put me down. His eyebrows looked confused at me. Can we talk about this at dinner? He asked. No, I said. We have to talk about it right now, because I've already waited all I can, and I'm getting tension in me. Junie B. Jones is getting a little anxious. I know I sometimes get anxious, and it's always good to tell people when you feel tension in you or when you feel anxious. No. Well, I'm afraid you're just going to have to wait a little longer, said Daddy. Because right now, I've got to see if your mother needs help with the baby. Then he did a kiss on my head, and he walked right into the house. And guess what? Sometimes I wish dumb Ollie never even came to live with us. So there may be Junie B. Jones may be feeling a little bit jealous of her little brother. And jealous means that she wishes that she had a little bit more time with her mom and dad, but right now her brother's getting all of the time because he's a baby, and sometimes that can make us sad. Alright, so now we're going to officially start chapter 5, Shining. When I went back inside, Ollie was still very screaming. That's because Mother couldn't find his pacifier. Pacifiers are what babies like to suck on, except I don't know why. Because one time I sucked on Ollie's and it tasted like my red sneakers. Ew, that sounds gross. Just then, Mother runned out of Ollie's room, and her hair was very sticking out, and her clothes were all wrinkly. And she was wearing one sock, and that's all. Where is it? Where is the pacifier? It just didn't disappear into thin air, you know, she hollered very hard. Do you guys know what hollered means? Hollered can be a very big word. Hollered just means scream, or talk very loud. Then me and Daddy had to help Mother look for the pacifier speedy quick, because she was losing her grip, I think. I think Mother was getting a little anxious. Remember that word we talked about? I looked into the couch. That's because sometimes if you push your hand way under the cushions, you can find some good stuff under there. This time I found 3 Cheetos and a popcorn. Ooh, I wouldn't eat that. And they were very delicious. Ew, that's not good. After that, I looked under Daddy's big chair. Only it was too dark to see under there. And so I had to run to get the flashlight. Because I learned about flashlights in school, remember? Flashlights are fun to shine in the dark. I shined it in the dark closet and also down the dark basement steps. Flashlights are fun to play with. I know, I have one here. Ooh, and it helps me see in the dark when I need to see. Then I remembered another dark place, and its name was Screaming Ollie's room. 'Cause his shades were pulled down for his nap. That's why. I ran right there very fast. Look, I said to Screaming Ollie, I've got a flashlight. I shined it on his ceiling. See, that's the little round circle of the shine up there. Oh, see that little round circle of the shine up there, I said. Then I shined it on his jungle wallpaper. And see the monkeys, Ollie, and the hippopotamus something? I asked him. Hippopotamus. So hippopotamus something, do you know what that is? I think that's called a hippopotamus. And that's a really big word sometimes. But that's an animal. And sometimes we can go to the zoo to see this animal, but the hippopotamus, like all the other animals, are good in the wild. And usually we refer to them as hippos. I would love to hear in the comments if you have ever seen a hippo. Okay, back to the book. Only Screaming Ollie just kept right on screaming, and he didn't show courtesy to me. Courtesy is a school word for listening very polite. And look here, we have a photo. Ooh. Look, there's Junie B. Jones, and she's shining the flashlight on all the monkeys and the hippopotamus and all of the animals on screen on her brother Ollie's room. That's very nice of her. She's trying to calm him, give him a calm body and a quiet voice. Courtesy is the school word for listening very polite. That's how come I shined it right in his big crying mouth. Except for just then a problem happened, and it's called Mother sneaked up on me in her quiet socks. Junie B. Jones, what in the world do you think you're doing? She hollered. I did a gulp. Gulp. Then my heart got very pumpy, because I was in big trouble, that's why. I'm shining, I said real soft. I'm shining. Out, she said. Out right now. And that's how come I started to leave. Except for then the flashlight shined on the floor, and I saw something very wonderful down there. What do you think she saw? I would love to hear in the comments, or tell the adult or whoever you're with, what do you think she saw when she shined the flashlight down on the floor? Hey, look, it's the pacifier, I shouted. I found the pacifier. It was hiding under the rocking chair. Then I hurried to pick it up and I gave it to Mother. Her face got relief on it. Do we know what relief means? Relief means if you're really worried and have a lot of tension and anxiety, and something happens to make you feel better, and you feel relieved, and you feel happy and calm again. Thank goodness, she said. Yes, thank goodness, I said back. Mother wiped the pacifier off, then she blowed on it very hard. Yeah, only you can't blow germs off, you know, I said, 'cause stuff that's been on the ground is very dangerous. And so then Mother gave me the pacifier, and I washed it off with soap and water. And guess what? Then I put it right in Ollie's mouth, and he stopped crying. Mother looked proud of me. Where do you get so smart? She asked. At school, that's where, I said. Then all of a sudden my eyes got big and wide, 'cause a very great idea popped right inside my head. Hey, I thought of it, I hollered. I thought of what I could be for drop day. So we know that Junie B. Jones have been struggling to find something that she could be for drop day. So right now I think she just thought of it. Then I jumped up and down, and I run down the hall. Daddy was in his chair reading the paper. I busted through it with my head. I thought of it. I thought of what kind of job I can be when I grow up. Daddy said, slow down, to me. That's because he didn't know what I was talking about, of course. Yeah, only I can't slow down, I explained, 'cause I'm very celebrating, and now I don't have any tension in me anymore. Just then, Mother came into the room. What's all the excitement about? She said. I clapped my hands together. I have an announcement, and that's what it's all about, I said, real happy. Well, what is it? Said Mother. Tell us. And so I stood up straight and tall, and I told my mother and Daddy the name of the job that I'm going to be when I grow up. That's a good one, right? I said, very excited. That's the bestest job you've ever heard of it, isn't it? Except for Mother and Daddy didn't answer me. They just kept looking and looking at each other. Then Daddy did a funny smile. And Mother said the word, oh boy. So that's the end of chapter 5. Let's review what we learned. So we learned that Junie B. Jones has a little bit of jealousy when it comes to her little brother because she doesn't get as much time by herself with mom and dad. And that can be very, very hard and cause anxiety. So it's always good to talk and tell your mom and dad how you feel. We also learned that she saved the day because her little brother Ollie was screaming and she was able to find the pacifier with a flashlight and clean up all the dirty germs on there and put it in his mouth and help him to calm down. That's so fun. And just then, Junie B. Jones thought of an idea of what she could be for job day and what she could be to grow up when she grows up. And she told her mom and dad. But you know what? We don't know what it is yet. The book didn't tell us what it is yet. So let's see if we find out in chapter 6. Alrighty. Chapter 6 is called Tingling. I couldn't sleep for the whole weekend. That's because I had tingling excitement in me about job day, and my brain wouldn't settle down. And so, on Monday, I zoomed to the bus stop very fast. "Look, Mr. Wu," I said to my bus driver, "look what I'm wearing today." Then I opened my jacket and I showed him my job clothes. "See? It's nice pants and dangling keys and a paintbrush," I said. "Except for I can't tell you what I am because it's a special secret." Shh, it's a secret. What do you guys think it is? If she has nice pants and dangling keys and a paintbrush, what do you think she was going to be for job day? I would love to see it in the comments, or you can discuss it and talk about it with whoever you're with right now. Then I plopped down in my seat, and me and Mr. Wu drove to the next corner. That's when my bestest friend, Grace, got on. She was wearing Mickey Mouse ears and a dress with red and white polka dotties on it. So should we look at Junie B. Jones' class and see which one Grace is on? Let's see. Remember the picture I showed you earlier of her class? Let's see if we can find Grace. Oh, I think I found her. Tell me if you see her. Okay. Oops. I think she's right there. That Grace. So let's read about Grace. Alright, let's find Grace. She was wearing Mickey Mouse ears and a dress with red and white polka dotties on it. So what do we think Grace is for job day? Any ideas? I'd love to hear them in the comments. "Grace," I said, very smiling, "you look beautiful in that dotty thing." What a nice thing for Junie B. Jones to say. "I know it," she said. "That's because I changed my mind about who I'm going to be when I grow up. Now I'm going to be Minnie instead of Mickey. So she's going to be Minnie Mouse." Oh, that's so fun. Then I stopped smiling, and my stomach felt very sickish inside again. Because that meant Minnie Mouse was a fake too. Oh, that's always hard. "Disneyland is a fib," I said. "And a fib is a lie." After that, the bus stopped again, and William got on. He was wearing a Superman outfit, except he had a W on the front of him and not the letter S. Now let's look at this picture of William and Grace and Junie B. Jones. So can we see there's Grace in the Mickey Mouse ears sitting next to Junie B. Jones. And Junie B. Jones has some keys in her paintbrush. And there's William with his superhero outfit, and that has a W on it. "The W stands for William," he said to Mr. Wu. "Does that mean you can fly?" asked Mr. Wu. Then William grinned very big. Grin. And he held out his arms, and he jumped way high in the air. Except for he didn't fly. And so he just sat down. After that, other kids got on the bus too. And Roger had on the keys just like me. And also plastic handcuffs. And Charlotte was wearing a red paint apron with watercolors in the pockets. Okay, so let's try and guess what Roger and Charlotte were for job day. So, Roger had on keys and also plastic handcuffs. Who has keys and handcuffs? Let's think in our brains. How about police officers? I know they have handcuffs to arrest bad guys, and they also have keys to open up all the doors and the jail cells. Alright, let's see. And Charlotte was wearing a red paint apron with some watercolors in the pocket. Who do we think Charlotte was for job day? Who has aprons and paints and watercolor paints? Let's take out our thinking caps again and let's think. How about an artist? An artist who likes to paint and draw pretty pictures? Do you guys like to paint and draw? I would love to hear it in the comments, or just if you ever want to reach out to us and show us your artwork, I would love to see it. And I know all my friends here at Get Your Play Online would love to see your artwork. And that mean Jim was wearing a white bathrobe. Hey, I've got a bathrobe just like that, Jim, I said, very friendly. It's not a bathrobe, dummy, he said. I'm a kung fu karate guy. Jim is a kung fu karate guy, I said to Grace, except for he just got out of the bathtub. Then me and her laughed and laughed, 'cause that was a funny joke, of course. And job day was going to be the funnest day in the whole wide world. That's so fun! So that is the end of chapter 6, and before we go into chapter 7, let's review what we learned. So we know Junie B. Jones, she picked something for job day. And do we have an idea yet of what she is for job day? We know that she has a paintbrush and she has some dangling keys and some nice pants. Do any of you guys have an idea of what Junie B. Jones might be? I would love to see those ideas. And we saw all of her friends and what they were for job day. So we learned that Grace was Minnie Mouse, and we learned that William was a superhero, and we learned that Charlotte was an artist, and what else did we learn? We learned that Roger was a police officer, and we learned that Jim is a kung fu master. Does anyone here play karate? I would love to hear if you play karate. I think that's a super cool sport. Okay, so the last chapter will be chapter 7 for the night, okay? So chapter 7 is called Jobs and Jobs. And I think we're going to find out what happens on job day and what Junie B. Jones is. Hopefully. Alright, chapter 7. Jobs and Jobs. When I got off the bus, I zoomed to room 9. That's because I wanted job day to start very quickly. Only first, we had to take attendance. And then we had to say, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands. I think that's the Pledge of Allegiance in America. Except I don't know what dumb story it's even talking about. Do any of you guys know what it's talking about? I think that's the Pledge of Allegiance, and we say it every day in class. Then, finally, Mrs. clapped her hands loud together. And guess what? Job day started. That's what. Boys and girls, you all look wonderful in your outfits, Mrs. said. I can't wait to learn what all of you want to be when you grow up. Who would like to go first? I would, I yelled out. Only then, my bestest friend Lucille raised her hand very politely, and she got to go first. Lucille looked the most beautifulest I've ever seen her. She was wearing a new dress that her Nana bought for her. It was the color of pink velvet, and she also had on shiny pink shoes, and socks with bows and lace on them. Lucille's Nana is loaded, I think. I think she means she has a lot of money. Lucille went to the front of the room. She reached into a little bag and pulled out a sparkling crown with jewels on it. Then all of the room 9 said, "Ooh," except not for the boys. So what do we think Lucille's gonna be? Can we see? Look, here's Lucille in her outfit, and everybody looking at her pretty outfit. So what can we think? What do we think with what we know Lucille's gonna be when she grows up? Let's put back our thinking caps and think. I think she's gonna be a princess. But let's find out. When I grow up, I'm gonna marry a prince, she said, and I'll be a princess, and my name will be Princess Lucille. Then she put the sparkling crown on her head, and she looked like a fairy tale guy. Mrs. smiled. "That's a lovely thought, Lucille," she said. "I know," said Lucille. "My Nana says if you marry a prince, you're set for life." After that, Lucille said her dress costed $85, and her shoes costed $45, and her lacy socks costed $65 plus tax. Then Mrs. told Lucille to sit down. So what have we learned with Lucille? Lucille says she's going to marry a big prince, and be set for life. Is that how life goes? We got to know that we can make our own destiny, and we can be whatever we want to be and be successful on ourselves. And money is not important. Okay. Ricardo went next. He was wearing a round yellow hat. It was kind of a hat you can bang on. "This is called a hard hat," he said. "You have to wear it when you're building tall buildings, or else somebody might drop a hammer from way up high and it could hit you on the head or hurt you." Ow, that sounds painful. Mrs. smiled. "So you're interested in construction, right, Ricardo?" she asked. But Ricardo just kept talking about all the other stuff that could fall on your head and kill you, like a paint can and an electric drill and a lunchbox. Then Mrs. said, "Sit down," to him too. Seems like everybody's getting off topic a little bit. That's when William raised his hand, only he was being very bashful, and he wouldn't go to the front of the room. "You don't have to be nervous," William, said Mrs. "Just tell us what you want to be when you grow up." William covered up his face with his hand. Who else gets nervous when they have to talk in front of their class or read in front of their class? I know I do just a little bit, and that's okay. But just know that there's no need to be nervous, because I know that you have a lot to say, and I know a lot of people want to hear it. Alright, so let's go back to William. So William covered his face with his hands. "Super William," he said very quietly. Then he got out of his seat and he jumped way high in the air. Only his cape got tangled up in his chair and he crashed into the table. Oh no, that sounds like it hurt a lot. After that, Super William got very sniffling, and Mrs. said we would get back to him later. And then lots of other kids talked about their jobs. Like a boy named Clifton is going to be rich and famous astronaut. And a girl named Lily is going to be a rich and famous movie star. And also, she wants to direct. And a boy named Ham is going to be rich and famous, is going to be a rich and famous boss of a big company. And he taught us how to say the word, "You're fired." And here's the bestest one of all. because a boy named Jamal Hall is going to be the rich and famous president of the whole United States. Cool, said Ricardo. Then the other boys said, cool, too. I did a secret smile. Yeah, only not as cool as my job, I thought to myself. I wonder what her job is going to be. Then I raised my hand very polite, and Mrs. called my name. Oh boy, I shouted. Oh boy, 'cause mine is even better than President of the United States. I zoomed quickly to the front of the room. Then my excitement wouldn't stay inside of me anymore. She's about to tell us what she's gonna be. A janitor! I'm gonna be a janitor! I hollered out. After that, I jingled my jangly keys and I waved my paintbrush in the air, and then I clapped and clapped. Only too bad for me, because nobody clapped back. That's sad. And here's something even worser. Room 9 started laughing very much, and it was the mean kind. She wants to be a janitor, they yelled, and they pointed at my brown pants, and they called me the name of dumb. And I didn't know what to do, because I felt very crumbling inside. Oh, this is so sad. Look, here's the picture of Junie B. Jones. And look, she's so excited about being a janitor, and all her friends, or all the people in her class, are laughing at her. Now, is that being a nice friend? I don't think so. That's not what good friends do. And it doesn't feel very nice at all when people laugh at you, does it? Because I felt very crumbling inside. And so I just kept on standing there and standing there. And my eyes got a little bit of wet in them, and my nose started running very much. And that's how I covered my face up. They're not having courtesy for me, I said real soft. Only then Mrs. clapped her angry hands together, and she scolded room 9 a real lot. Junie B is right, she said. Being a janitor is a very important job. You have to be hardworking, reliable, and very, very trustworthy. I peeked through my fingers at her. Yeah, and don't forget the part where you have to save people from danger, I said. Do we remember where that's from? If you think all the way back to chapter 1 or 2, I think it was chapter 2, the janitor made sure Junie B. Jones didn't eat the gross stuff off the floor. So she's remembering the very nice janitor who helped her, and she wants to be just like the janitor. I think that's so nice. Then that Jim I hate laughed right out loud. Janitors don't save people from danger, you goony bird, he said. I stamped my foot at him. Yes, they do. They do too. Because one time I was eating a dangerous lifesaver, and janitor made me spit it out. And also, he brought his flashlight to room 9, and he saved William from the dangerous dental floss. So she's thinking back about all the janitor did for her. Then I held up my jingling keys. And see, these things? Keys are what janitors unlock the bathroom door with. Or else we couldn't even go to the toilet. Then I showed him my paintbrush. And janitor paints little cans too, I said. And painting is the funnest thing I love. That Jim did a mean smile. Yeah, well, too bad for you, but you're a girl. And janitors have to be boys. So there. I run to his table. No, they do not, you dumbhead Jim, I said. Girls can be anything boys can be, right? Mrs. Right? 'Cause I saw that on Sesame Street, and also on Oprah. Mrs. did a big smile. Then my bestest friend, Grace, started to clap. And guess what? All the other girls in room 9 clapped too. And that, my friends, is the end of chapter 7. So what did we learn? Well, we finally learned that Junie B. Jones wanted to be a janitor when she grows up. And janitors have super important jobs. They have to clean up and make sure everything is tidy for us and clean and safe for us when we go back to school. They're super hardworking and dedicated, and they help us out a lot. And what else do we learn? We learn that girls can be anything boys can be. Girls, we can grow up to be whatever we want to be. Scientists or astronauts or chefs or janitors. Whatever we want to be. And guys, that's it for today. Thank you for sticking around with me at Get Your Play Online and reading Junie B. Jones with me. I am so happy I got this time with you. And next week, the same time, so 10 p.m. Eastern Time, Morgan will be here and you guys will read some chapters after the one we did now, so we can continue reading. I hope you guys all join her and read together. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, friends, and I'll see you later. Have a great night. Bye.